In this video, we're going to talk about a Dallas housing market crash. We're going to talk about 4 reasons it won't happen. We're going to talk about 1 reason it might, so stay tuned. Hey, if this is your first time to the channel, welcome, glad to meet you. My name is Wendy Pennell. I am a local real estate broker here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Today, I want to talk to you about 4 reasons the Dallas housing market is not going to fail, and then that 1 reason I'm kind of concerned about. But first, where we are today, we are at Burt Fields Park, and I wanted to show you this beautiful, quiet, secluded area. You know, because it's kind of unknown, it's not super easy to find, but I wanted to show you that these areas still exist in Dallas. You know, Dallas is this huge place. It's like 1.3 million people, 384 square miles, and yet you have these beautiful areas of green space. But all right, back to this issue of the housing crash. In other videos, we've talked about how this housing crash is an issue of supply and demand. You know, and in the Dallas market right now, we have an undersupply of houses and we have a heck of a lot of strong demand for buyers, right? So in this video, what I wanted to talk to you about is that, you know, regardless of what happens in other parts of the country, I wanted to tell you why Dallas is going to continue to hold on to its strong demand. And of course, I wanted to talk to you about that 1 area that concerns me. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So tell you what, let's wrap it up here and let's head on over to our first stop. Let's go. Well, we are over here at AECOM, and I'm sure you're wondering, Wendy, why have you brought me to AECOM? It looks like a big office building. Well, I'll tell you what, AECOM is no ordinary company. It was voted the world's most admired company and the world's most ethical company. It's a Fortune 500 company, and guess what? It relocated to Dallas in 2021. You know, and if you Google AECOM, one of the first things you're going to do is you're going to come upon a page that says AECOM is hiring. Click here to view 320 jobs. So yeah, so reason number 1 is definitely all these companies are moving to Dallas. Now, why are they? Because the taxes are lower here. Teeny tiny franchise tax that only applies over 1.8 million. You know, and then no state income tax at all. So yeah, definitely reason number 1, we've got companies moving to Dallas. With companies come jobs, and with jobs, we're gonna see a lot of relocators. As long as we continue to see that, we're not gonna see a housing market crash because the demand is still gonna be there. All right, well, hope that made sense. Here we are at AECOM, right? Makes sense, that reason number 1. Tell you what, I'm gonna wrap it up here, and we're gonna head on over to our next reason, so stay tuned. Well, we are out here at Capella Park, and Capella Park is located just east of Grand Prairie, South Dallas area is right where we are. And I'll tell you what, we are only 20 minutes from downtown, but I wanted to show you, and you saw as we were driving in here, that surrounding Capella Park is open farmland. Plenty of space to develop, and we're right here in Dallas proper with plenty of space to develop. You know, and that brings us to reason number 2, which is the Dallas-Fort Worth area has plenty of space to grow. In fact, if you look on the map, you're going to see green surrounding the whole area. And you've got outlying suburbs that are just exploding in growth. You know, we're talking like to the north, you've got like Anna and Melissa, and to the south, you've got Cleburne and Waxahachie. You've got growth everywhere, and you have plenty of room to sustain that over a long period of time. So yeah, reason number 2, definitely that we have room to grow. And as long as we have room to grow, we're going to see new jobs, new construction, new companies coming in. All right, so that's reason number 2, plenty of room to grow. Tell you what, I'm going to give you a little bit more of a view of this area of Capella Park, and then we're going to head on to our next reason and our next stop. So let's go. We are out here at Salon a la Mode, and I'm sure you're like, Wendy, what in the world are you doing at a salon? Well, I am here to talk to you about reason number 3, which is Texans value their freedom. And you know what? They're willing to fight for them, right? So just a little bit of talk on COVID. March 19, 2020, Texas received the stay-at-home order, and we complied. Everyone stayed home, but they didn't do it for very long. But what's interesting to know is you had places like Salon a la Mode, and they were not willing to give up their freedom. In fact, it made news. Shelley Luther, in defiance of the order, she came here and she opened up for business, right? And that's just an example, I think, in general, of how Texans do not give up their freedoms easily. They're very much going to fight for them. By mid-March of 2021, the governor had lifted all mask restrictions. And all the way, the governor has said, we're not going to force vaccines. And Texans have gone along with that. It's been very controversial, but I would say that there's a very strong component of Texans who are like, you're not going to take my freedoms away. Now, this doesn't just apply to COVID, although definitely saw a lot more freedom here in Texas than you have in other places. But it also carries over to concealed carry, to open carry. Texans are big on their gun rights, their right to carry a gun. It's also in homeschooling, private schooling. Texas does not regulate either of these at all, right? Parents are able to homeschool their children in any way that they want without the government regulating them. Also, this is why a lot of businesses move here, is because businesses just aren't that regulated. So yeah, definitely out here at the hair salon to talk to you about reason number 3, which is Texans value their freedom. All right, well, I'm going to close up shop here and we're going to head on over to our 4th reason and our 4th stop. So let's go. Well, here we are out here at Aldi, and I can just see you asking now, Wendy, what in the world are you bringing me to a grocery store for? And it's for reason number 4, that people are always going to be moving to Dallas, and that is a cost of living. In fact, in a minute, I'm going to take you in. We're going to check out some of the prices, but at first, let's talk about bestplaces.net. I went ahead and looked that up, compared values for 2022. And listen, I compared it for 3 different places. The first one, I checked out the Bronx in New York, and this is what I found. Dallas versus the Bronx. Groceries are 14% higher. Housing, get this, 96% higher. Utilities, 51% higher, leading to an overall higher cost of living of 45%. Then I looked on over to Belmont, Virginia, okay? And there we saw that groceries were 13% higher, housing 251% higher, overall 74% more expensive. Belmont, Virginia, that much of a higher cost of living. Lastly, I went ahead and took a look at San Francisco, California, because why not, right? Groceries there, 18% higher, housing 542% higher than Dallas, leading to, an overall higher cost of living of 142%. So you can see the cost of living, even factoring in housing and how much the prices have gone up, even then the cost of living here in Dallas is that much lower. But you know what? Don't take my word for it, because I am going to take you right inside and we're going to take a look at some of those prices. So let's go. Well, in 2008, interest rates at 6% triggered a massive amount of foreclosures and bank failures. But nowadays, everybody has fixed rate mortgages, right? Their housing payment's never going to change. Well, that is actually wrong. Their housing payment is going to change. And that's why today I brought you out to the Dallas Central Appraisal District. Because I'm worried. Because you know what? In Dallas, we saw values in homes from 2021 to 2022 go up by 22% in 1 year. And that's going to have a huge impact on people's property taxes. Now, just to give you an example, in the Metroplex area, most property tax rates are anywhere between 2 and 3%. So kind of to make that real for you, a $500,000 house is going to cost you about $833 a month. Now, if you file for your homestead exemption, you can get it lower than that. But you can guarantee that the Dallas Central Appraisal District, they're not missing the fact that home values are going up and your monthly payment is going to go up as well because your property taxes are going to go up. So what can you do to prepare for that? Let's just say you're moving to the area and you know that the property taxes are going to be a problem. What can you do to prepare for that? You want to go into the home buying process very much with your eyes open, knowing that your property taxes are going to increase, and so your housing payment is going to increase year over year. So as you're talking to your lender, say, hey, I want you to be as high, as conservative as you can on setting up that escrow account. Tell them to go off what the property taxes will be instead of what they are right now, right? So that's just one way you can do it. Also, make sure you file your homestead exemption because that saves you money and it protects you from your taxes going up too high. You know, another thing you can do is protest, and that's what a lot of people are doing right here. If you can look around, you see a lot of cars, right? All of these people, they're out here protesting their property tax values, right? Right now, we are in mid-April 2022. All of the tax statements just came out. People are fuming. It's all over social media. My taxes just went up. And then all of these people are out here and they can come in here and they can protest and say, hey, I don't think my house is worth what you're saying it's worth. So the protest process, definitely something that you want to be aware of. And then also just kind of watch out for protests for property tax reform, because that is a hot issue in Texas right now. In fact, there's a vote coming up on May 7th that would increase your homestead exemption from $25,000 to $40,000. So, you know, important to keep in mind, in 2008, people's housing payments would go up by like $1,000. When those mortgages adjusted, suddenly your payment's up by $1,000. Now, here in the Metroplex, you're talking about maybe like $100 increase per month every year, right? And that's uncomfortable. It's not enough to cause a crash, you know, like we saw in 2008, a massive crash. I don't think it's going to affect people's budgets. I think it's going to cause a bit of a pinch. And so even though it's not really going to cause this massive housing crash like we saw in 2008, it's enough of an issue that I just really wanted you to be aware. You know, we've talked about 4 reasons the Dallas market is going to stay strong and vibrant. You know, that first reason was constantly got companies moving to the Dallas area. You know, that second reason was the Dallas-Fort Worth area has plenty of room to grow. That third reason, Texans value their freedom. They're going to fight for it. And you know, that fourth reason is Texas has a lower standard of living. But we didn't stop there. We headed on over to the Dallas CAD to talk about that one reason I'm kind of concerned about. Well, tell me, was this video helpful? I sure hope it was. Listen, if it was, the next best thing you can do is head on back to my channel and view a couple more videos, right? Because we've got a ton of them out there. But listen, in the meantime, thank you so very, very much for joining me today, and have a great day.